Good evening, everyone. Welcome to, let's hear it. Welcome to IceMen Live, home for the holidays edition. And after a nice win on Saturday, feels pretty good to be back up here.
That was a great Christmas present.
And a good comeback from a 2-0 deficit. The IceMen came back and won 4-2. Third time this year they've overcome a 2-0 deficit to win the game.
Do you think that goalie's okay? Well, I mean, we threw everything at him. About 51 shots?
I think it'd be safe to say he slept well on Saturday night. 47 saves, but 4-2 win for the IceMen. We're out here at Beef O'Brady's in Newburgh. Thank you so much for coming down. A terrific crowd tonight. We're also online on EvansvilleIcemen.com, so thanks to those tuning in tonight online. I'm John Peterson.
I'm Brian Vall.
And this is a special night for you, Brian.
Yeah, we'll bring that up here a little bit later.
A little bit later on the show?
Yes.
I like the Senators gear you got on tonight.
Yeah, rocking the Senators. I tell you what, it's good to see our farm system doing well these days. We'll talk about that here in a little bit with the B-Sens actually playing really some good hockey this past weekend.
I'm going extra casual tonight, mainly because this was a Christmas present that my sister got me this year, which she had somehow scoured the internet to find some broadcast-related Christmas stuff. And found this shirt that's similar to Keep Calm Chive on, the Chive. But it was Keep Calm, you gotta remember what it says, and listen to the broadcaster. So very nice of my sister. I told her I would wear it on the first show, and so that's what I'm doing.
Actually, I was hoping you were gonna miss the radio broadcast on Saturday because Travis and I were gonna take over. We were gonna run that ship right into the iceberg for you.
For those who don't know, I have some issues traveling. Aside from the fact that I hate flying, I have really bad luck. And almost missed that Kalamazoo game on November 21st. Or was it November? Yeah, it was November 21st. And then the airline, that shall not be named, overbooked my flight home on Saturday, the 26th here the other day, by 18 people. So it was a flight that only seats 48, and they overbooked it by 18 people. So they spent pretty much the whole couple of hours leading up to the flight to try to find people to volunteer to take a later flight. Obviously that wouldn't have worked out for me with the game. But we made it. Made it through snow and rain and then an awesome hockey game. Let's talk about it for a second. Fell behind early in the first on the second Cincinnati shot. Fell behind 2-0 then early in the second. But a nice comeback started when Matt Zay scored his 5th of the year late in the second period. Then, of course, Dalton Levier tying now for the league lead. 15 goals for him. He ties Tyson Fawcett.
You know, how's the locker room going with that? Is there like a locker room competition going on right now?
There has to be at this point.
Those two are harassing one another. Like, hey, I tied you up. You know, wait till next game. I'm going to beat that tie.
Now that we've made a huge deal out of it, because it is a big deal to be atop the league lead in goals and have two guys on the same team, let alone the same line, lead the league in goals. It's pretty incredible. So I'm assuming they probably have some competition going at this point. But Levier scored on that breakaway, really nice goal to tie it at 2 at the end of the period. That was on that 4-on-4. And then how awesome was the game winner with 1:06 left? I nearly jumped up in my chair up there in the broadcast booth. Travis can admit to that. Jordan Sims hit the game-winning goal. Jordan's 3rd game-winning goal of the year already, so he's 1 behind Dalton Levier, who has 4 game winners.
I think what the ECHL Communications came out today, he's like ranked 5th in the league in game winners.
Yeah, 5th in game winners. Dalton's 3rd or 2nd in game winners. There's a tie with 4. And then the only guy who's got more is from Atlanta, and this will break your heart a little bit. Not to be a buzzkill, but Nesbitt, who scored the game winner against us in overtime last week, or 2 weeks ago on the 16th. Nesbitt has 5, so Levier has 4, and Jordan Sims has 3. And then, of course, the man over here, who we're going to talk to in a little bit with the empty netter, 2nd goal since joining the IceMen 4 games ago, Mike Duco. He is one of our guests tonight. Let's hear it from Mike.
Hey, I heard Duco said he's going to beat both of them, Fossa and Levier, for more goals.
All right, well, he's got plenty of games to do it, 45 left, but he's got 13 to catch them. Hey, things are looking good right now, Brian. Points in 6 of our last 8 games, 5-2-1 in the last 8, and now 5 points out of a playoff spot, but climbing our way up in the standings. So it's been a good stretch of games.
Well, you and I both said at the beginning of the season, you know, I wasn't too worried about this team On paper, I thought Al put together a phenomenal team, and it was just waiting for them to all click together. And once they clicked, they're going to take off. And you're starting to see that in the month of December. You know, Coach Allison said it to all of us on the show. Wait till December. Well, here's December, and we're having a phenomenal December. And I think that's going to continue for January, February, March, and April, and then playoffs.
Hey, let's hope. I like your optimism. Me too. I share that optimism.
I'm in sales. I'm very optimistic.
Absolutely. We're also going to be joined by our brand new assistant coach of the Evansville IceMen, Dave Leger, who is here tonight. So let's hear it for Dave. That'll be coming up here on IceMen Live tonight. One more quick note on the win on Saturday. Matt Zenzola won his second career ECHL game, and he didn't even know he was going to be starting until probably 10 minutes till game time. So, it gave up a goal on the second shot, but then settled in and played pretty well to keep the Icemen right there in the game. And so 17 saves in the win for Zenzola. To ease everybody's mind, Scott Grenham not injured or anything like that. So that was kind of my concern on the broadcast, just because he was expected to start and wasn't able to go last minute, but Matt Zenzola stepped up and did a real nice job. So now it's off for 4 games in 5 days starting Wednesday. So right back at it.
Have fun on that bus.
Hey, I love those bus trips, especially when we have the sleeper bus.
Yes, you guys got the sleeper bus this week.
A little bit more room, and for a guy who's 6'3", it's kind of nice.
I thought you'd get the floor.
Well, Sean and I kind of go back and forth on who gets the floor. We're both rookies, the trainer and myself, and there are only enough bunks for all the players and the 2 coaches and Alex. And Alex isn't a rookie, our equipment manager, so Sean and I go back and forth, but he actually likes the floor better, so I kind of lucked out. I get that last bench. It's kind of like a bed. It works. So anyways, back into it. This week, Brian, we've got 3 home games. New Year's Eve's the big one, and then Saturday, Sunday against the top team in the league and the bottom team in the league in Missouri and Wichita.
And I tell you what, this year we actually spent a little bit more money to make the fireworks show a little bit more bigger this year. So what you saw last season, it's going to be a little bit bigger and better this season. So we're looking, More bigger. You like my Posey County English? I'm from Posey County, Indiana. I got a good education down there.
Oh boy, the train's off the tracks already.
And I'm only in 1 beer already too, so
Cut him off.
I'm ready for number 2, and he needs a water.
I'm behaving.
I know, why are you not behaving?
Because my early New Year's resolution is to lose 15 pounds, and that means no more beer for a while.
Quitter.
Hey, I'm sorry. I'm doing the cliche New Year's resolution, and beer's the first thing that gets cut out.
It tastes really good.
We'll see how long that lasts. So we're 8 minutes into the show, and we're already going off the tracks. Let's get it back together here. We've got some promotions coming up this week. The big New Year's Eve fireworks, Brian, you mentioned they're up in the budget on that, and it's going to be awesome. I didn't see last year's, obviously. I wasn't here. But apparently there was an awesome crowd last year for that game.
Oh, we had a phenomenal crowd.
9,000 or something?
It was an 8. It was an 8 last year. I don't want to get the fudge the numbers a little bit, but we had 8,000 last year, so that was rocking the new year with the Icemen. So you gotta definitely appreciate that. With, like I said, the fireworks show. I gotta give kudos to Bridget McDonald. She's the one who puts this on every year. She's the one who came up with the idea to do the fireworks show on New Year's Eve. Last year we had a budget for it. This year we upped the budget for the fireworks show, so it's supposed to be bigger, better, just totally awesome. Hopefully, maybe we'll catch the place on fire.
And tell everyone about this. Be careful what you wish for, I guess. Tell everybody about this 56 seconds of silence that we're going to be doing at the end of the first period.
All right, this is actually something really cool that the people with Logan's Promise, if you guys know the situation this past March, Logan was a football player for the Wrights football team. He was killed in a car accident due to a drunk driver. We're teaming up with Logan's Promise that the last 56 seconds of the first period, we're going to ask everyone in attendance, even if we score a goal, to be totally silent, to remember Logan. And also his people will be there to have people sign up to do a promise sheet. Promise not to drink and drive. So it's definitely a great thing, and it's something new that we want to try to do is sort of remember Logan and remember, and drinking and driving is not a fun thing, but definitely I think it's going to be great.
So it's the last 56 seconds of the first period, and everybody goes silent.
Everyone goes silent.
Except for, of course, those of us that have to talk for our job. Unfortunately, we can't go silent for the whole minute, but we'll promote it and we'll support it, and it's a great cause that we're doing. So that's going to be New Year's Eve game Thursday.
New Year's Eve game Thursday. Logan's Promise, and like I said, they'll also be showing a commercial about their group that they're about their charity, and basically a lot of their things is they're there to raise awareness for drinking and driving. So that's sort of a thing. That's definitely what we're doing on New Year's Eve. So keeping up with Logan's Promise, and this is going to be something we try to do every season. So.
Yeah. And this weekend's we have a couple games this weekend as well. Saturday is against Missouri, a team we've played. Coming back from that Alaska trip when we just got off the plane, bounced back onto the ice, and took on the best team in the league that had won 12 straight. We get another crack at Missouri. Good news is, folks, that Missouri plays 3 straight days. They play New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, both at home, and then have to travel to Evansville for that Saturday game here. So maybe an opportunity to catch the Mavericks on a little bit of a weary stretch. We have New Year's Day off, so there's the difference.
Watch a little Winter Classic.
That's right. Where's it at this year? Is it D.C.?
No, it's Boston.
Boston this year. And who are they playing?
Some team.
How do I not know that?
Some Canadian team.
That's the big rivalry.
I'm ready for Scott to come and strangle me right now.
And then Wichita's on Sunday. That's Subway Family Night. I should say Saturday's Union Night. So if anybody knows anyone where they work, if they're part of a union, they can get discounted tickets by calling Evan at our front office. They have a discounted group rate for anyone in a union. Something different we've done this year. And so Evan's kind of working on that whole project. And 812-421-GOAL is the number. Just ask for Evan. That's 812-421-4625.
Also, a little important notice to talk to people about Subway Family Night. We've gotten some complaints from the season ticket holders that saying, Subway Family Night, they don't get a T-shirt or anything like that. So I have a lot of Subway Family Night T-shirts left over from last year. So every season ticket holder who comes through the season ticket entrance on Sunday will get an IceMen Subway Family Night T-shirt. So like I said,
Said you demand.
Thank you, I appreciate it. So anyways, if you're a season ticket holder, half season, full season, if you come through that season ticket holder entrance, you're getting a Subway Family Night T-shirt this Sunday.
And that's against the Wichita Thunder, and we know a few former Icemen on that squad.
Yeah, I got Brandon Marshall. You got Martell.
You were thinking of the receiver for the Jets.
Yeah, Jets.
Jets talking to Matt Skavernack in the office today. He was pretty happy about his Jets.
Just too many hits to the head, during playing all these hockey games. Anyways, we got Brandon Martell, you got Peter Sakaris, Donnie Harris. I know, I see a little frowny faces from people. But hey, you can see Donnie coming up, so. And then I would say, Randy Keir was in Tulsa, but now he's back in Fort Wayne. He's back in Fort Wayne, so. But no, you got those 3 former Icemen coming back.
Well, we'll transition because we have Where Are They Now coming up, where we'll get caught up with some of the former Icemen here in a second. First, that segment that I brought in a couple weeks ago that we've stuck with, and we're going to keep running with until people tell me they're sick of it. Statistically speaking, just a quick rundown of some interesting stats related to your Evansville Icemen. I mentioned earlier that with Jordan Sims' 3rd game-winning goal, he's now in 5th in the ECHL in game winners. With Saturdays, that's 1 behind Dalton Levier, 2 behind Derek Nesbitt of Atlanta. As far as rookies go, Alex Weidman, 17th in the league amongst rookies with 17 points. He has 4 goals, 13 assists, 7 assists on the power play. That leads the league amongst rookies. And Quad City, who were playing Wednesday and Thursday, they have a rookie by the name of Matt Neal, who's actually 7th in the league amongst rookies with 22 points. And Missouri, who we play on Saturday, has a guy by the name of Carter Verhage. He is 12th in the league amongst rookies. He has 19 points.
Carter Verhage is like 3 times as fast.
Yeah, I actually have to do it during the game on Saturday, so I'll have to train myself. But luckily he had, I think the guys on his line had really short names. Tanner Barnes or Tyler Barnes, and then Jesse Root, who was called up to Bridgeport, so he's not even on the team anymore. But as far as defensemen go, obviously Troy Rutkowski was called up to Binghamton this week. He played in both games for Binghamton, and we'll get to the Binghamton Senators here in a second. Rutkowski had 17 points in 26 games. He's 17th amongst defensemen in the ECHL. His 14 assists led the IceMen before his call-up, and he had 10 assists in his last 9 games before Binghamton called him up. So he was playing very well and got an opportunity to go up and play for the B-Sens. A guy we're going to see twice this week for Quad City, Mike Monfredo. He actually scored the game winner against us in Evansville on the 6th. Their defenseman, he's 2nd in the league with 18 assists.
Isn't that the one that Fawcett went after as a spider monkey?
He did?
Was that Monfredo or who was the one?
It might have been. I don't remember. I remember the goal though when Monfredo scored. It was on that 3-on-3 overtime. But
I don't care about the goal. I was caring more about the fight.
Oh, you're talking about the fight?
Yeah, the fight.
When we called Tyson Fawcett a spider monkey?
Yeah, he went after him like a spider monkey.
No, it was Gibson.
Oh, it was Gibson. Okay.
Gibson just got called up today to Bridgeport.
I think he was just scared.
Or maybe he was put on reserve, but there was a transaction involved.
I told you, he's scared of Fawcett. Fawcett's going to come after him.
Hey, I would. I'm taller. I'm about 8 inches taller than Tyson, but I'd have no chance. I'm scared to death of that kid. He's tough. Penalty minutes. This is something I haven't mentioned on any of these segments yet this year, but the IceMen are actually in the bottom 10 in the league in penalty minutes.
Oh, come on.
22nd in the league. They only average 13.26 penalty minutes a game. So, disciplined is the good. Hey, you want us to get penalized?
Well, I'm more like,
you're talking about the fights.
like a bench clean brawl. I mean, we get some penalty minutes up, you know.
Jeez. Good role model over here. And as far as major penalties go, to speak to your bench brawls, line brawls, fighting, 16 majors, which is 20th in the league. The most, Colorado, has 41 major penalties compared to our 16. So
I think what was it? Wasn't that line brawl?
Yeah, they had that line brawl. But also, if you look at minor penalties, Colorado has 161 to our 119 as far as minors go. So Colorado is not very disciplined. Evansville is at this point. We'll skip this one. We've done that a couple times.
What's Ogie Oglethorpe doing these days?
Probably a free agent. That movie was made a long time ago, so I don't know if he can really provide a whole lot anymore. Goals for and goals against. The IceMen now are climbing up the ladder with goals for, now right in the middle of the pack, 14th with just under 3 goals per game. Which is good news because earlier in the year, remember, we were dead last for a good solid 3 or 4 weeks.
Scoring is not the issue.
Not the issue anymore. Missouri, this is how good Missouri's been. First in the league in goals against, 1.74. Second in the league in goals for, 3.41. So the stats prove that not only the fact they won 14 games in a row, but the stats are proving it. They're a very good team. Wichita, on the other hand, is last in the league at 1.86 goals for. So they're struggling to put the puck in the net. The IceMen are generating pretty good amount of shots per game too. 6th now in the ECHL at 31.5 shots per game. So getting a lot of shots on it. 51 certainly didn't hurt on Saturday. 51 shots. Can you believe that? 21 in the third period.
That's I tell you what, I feel sorry for the players sitting in there because I bet their coach gave them an earful after that game.
Yeah, well. Yeah, their goalie definitely played well, but didn't get a lot of help from their defense. 51 shots against.
Hope they took them out to dinner afterwards.
I'm sure they did. So there's your statistically speaking segment tonight. We'll try to mix it up each time. Let's real quick go to an update on Binghamton and Ottawa. Binghamton is on a 3-game winning streak now. Yeah, they're playing well, so that's good to see from our affiliates. They defeated Hershey 5-3 on the road, and Binghamton had really struggled on the road, but that was a nice win in Hershey. And Saturday night beat Hartford 4-2 at home. And so Binghamton has a busy week. They have a game tomorrow night at home against Lehigh Valley, Thursday night at home against St. John's, and Saturday at Hershey again. So we'll see if they can keep things going, as Binghamton is 9-17-2 and trying to start their climb up from the cellar. So first 3-game winning streak of the season. Troy Rudkowski played in both games last weekend. He had 3 shots on goal, wasn't out there for any goals against, didn't pick up any points either, but not a bad first couple of games for him up there in Binghamton. And Matt O'Connor got the win on Saturday. Chris Drieger was back in the lineup and got the win on Sunday in Hershey. So good news for the former IceMen goaltender Chris Drieger.
Yeah, definitely can see Drieger play very well, and then also see him. We talked about on 2 shows ago that he was got to play again. I think it was against the other Canadian team. What are they called? I'm ready to get stabbed.
The team that's. All right, I won't add to the fire. I had a comment there regarding the standings, but. Ottawa and Montreal both kind of dropped off, though. If you look at the standings, Ottawa, I mean, give the other teams credit. Florida has been red hot. The Florida Panthers are leading the Atlantic Division. Can you believe that?
Hold on, let me adjust my eyes real quick. Florida?
Yeah, Florida. Florida's won 7 of 10. They're now leading the Atlantic, ahead of Detroit, then Montreal, then Boston, and Ottawa tied with 42. Ottawa's in the 8th spot in the Eastern Conference and 5th in their division, but that division, from 1st to 5th, just 2 points separate those teams, so it's very, very tight in the Atlantic. Ottawa is 18-12-6. They are 10-4-4 at home, not quite as good on the road, and won their last game on Sunday, 3-1 against the red-hot Boston Bruins. So that was a nice win for Ottawa. They did lose, though, at Florida in a shootout on Tuesday last week. And this week, the Senators are at Boston again on Tuesday, at home on Wednesday against the New Jersey Devils, at Chicago on Sunday.
Well, maybe Montreal could maybe win against Boston over the Winter Classic. Maybe.
Ottawa just picked up a goalie, though. Did you see that? In a trade? Ben Scrivens from Edmonton was traded to, or not Ottawa, Montreal, I should say. I meant to say Montreal. Because Carey Price has been hurt, and they had Condon playing the former ECHL goalie.
Yeah.
I think he played in Wheeling, I want to say. Condon?
Yeah, Condon did play in Wheeling, I guess it was about 2 seasons ago.
Well, Montreal is pretty desperate at this point because they need help at goaltending, and they went out and traded for Ben Scrivens.
Montreal's always desperate. Oh, I am just stirring the fire tonight. Stir that pot. Hey, I've seen him wear his Winnipeg jersey. For every time he wears his Winnipeg jersey, we win hockey games at home. So, and really? The person I'm talking about is Scott. Scott's is a diehard IceMen fan. He always wears his Winnipeg jersey and we win hockey games. But he's actually a Montreal fan. Poor guy.
Well, I can't wait to talk to our assistant coach here in a little bit, figure out who he rooted for growing up. Actually, I know the answer to that, but we'll reveal here in a second. I'm biased. Let's get to where are they now, Brian, since you did all the prep work for that one tonight.
Yeah, and actually this is sort of a very interesting where are they now, because I found something very interesting today. Former IceMen goaltender Dave DeSanders. I know, my friends who like the All-American Hockey League, that's where we grew up with our organization. He played 11 games for the IceMen during the 2008 and 2009 season when Matt Wagner went down with a concussion. So we had to bring him in as our starting goaltender at that time. Sort of a trivia question here. Who was the assistant coach that sort of cut Dave DeSanders with the IceMen?
The assistant coach?
Yeah, the assistant coach.
I'm going to go with Brian Vall.
Yep, I actually was the one who cut him. I know that's probably not the best thing. But Dave DeSanders actually, he had finished out that season with us in 2008, 2009. He ended up finishing the season with the Battle Creek Revolution, where he had, it probably wasn't a bad cut because he, in one game in playoffs, he gave up 7.89 goals against in one game. So, but he's been called to action. He's as emergency backup with the K-Wings. K-Wings goaltender Clay Witt had been called up to the Utica Comets. So he's up there as emergency goaltender right now. Former IceMen goaltender Brendan Combe stopped 25 shots to earn his first professional shutout and to lead the South Carolina Stingrays to a 3-0 victory over the Norfolk Admirals on Sunday. That makes Combe, he is now 5-0 this season. 5-0. Also, Dana Frazier, if you guys remember from the IceMen training camp last season, he is now playing, and he actually went back to college and decided not to play with us last season. For his first season actually in the ECHL, he's playing with the Adirondack Thunder. 20 games played, 4 goals, 3 assists, 7 points. He's a +3. He has 38 penalty minutes. He actually was in a fight this past week against Manchester's Anthony Pisano on Sunday. And then also, to go into where are they now, sort of our European edition, Phil Buschbacher is still leading the way in total points of former IceMen over in Europe. He has 40 total points, 20 goals, 20 assists in 34 games. Wade McLeod, he's still playing in the German 2 League. He has 33 total points. Some IceMen players that are playing the ECHL right now that were former IceMen who's leading in total points.
Excuse me. You all right?
Yeah, a little choked up. Mike Seidel with the Elmira Jackals, 29 games played. He has 19 total points, 10 goals, 9 assists. Talking a little bit about Peter Sakaris, who we'll see this Sunday. He's played in 20 games with the Wichita Thunder. He has 4 goals, 9 assists, and 13 total points for 20 penalty minutes. Let's talk a little about former IceMen Andre Bouvet-Morissette. He was starting really hot off the beginning of the season, but he's played in 31 games so far. It sort of looks like he's slowed down a little bit. 4 goals, 7 assists for 11 total points. And let's pick one more. Who do I want to pick? Brandon Wong. All right, you want to know what Brandon Wong is doing right now? He's playing in Tulsa. He's played in 24 games. He has 6 goals, 5 assists, and 11 total points. And you know, sort of sad to, not sad, but Brandon Wong really started off hot at the beginning of the season, and he sort of slowed down a little bit. So, but he has played in 24 games with 6 goals, 5 assists, and 11 points. So that is my segment of Where Are They Now?
All right. Well, time now to hear from our guests. I hope I'm not interrupting in the middle of food, but Dave, are you good? Let's talk to Dave Leger, our new assistant coach of the Evansville IceMen. Well, Dave, welcome. Glad to have you. Now, you arrived, I think, pretty much. Was it the game that we played at Atlanta? Was it that day, or was it the day before? I forget.
No, I arrived, first of all, thanks everyone for coming out here. It's nice to see a whole bunch of fans out here. That's great. Yeah, I arrived the day before. Al picked me up at the airport, and although we had spoken on the phone, that was the first time we met in person, and he was great. Took me right to his house, and we had a meal and a chance to talk about the team, and then right on the bench the next night for a game with a bunch of new players in front of me.
Now, you've been coaching a long time, so that part of it, getting into a game, I'm sure, is second nature. But when you jump into a new team and you're still getting to know everybody, and all of a sudden it's a game night, how do you approach that?
Yeah, it was like jumping into a washing machine while it was going full throttle. We were, I mean, all the D, I didn't know, names and numbers are always something you're trying to, and then this team is filled with nicknames of players. So it was an adjustment, but the players have been great, and Al's been fantastic to make me well acclimatized. So far so good, and I think it was good that I was able to come in for a short amount of time, go home for the break, and then now back, I know names and faces much better now.
Did you have to go home and study them? Now, did you have a list after being here for a little while?
No, it's good actually.
And I see you were able to bring your family with you. Did they come originally or just after Christmas break?
No, we drove back. So my wife Darlene and my two daughters Jordan and Renee came in all the way from beautiful Ottawa, and we slept in Pittsburgh the first night and then made it to Evansville the second night. So my wife's a teacher, so she's going to go back and start school. And they're leaving on New Year's Day, so they'll be able to see the fireworks night actually.
All right. And so you're from Ottawa, and being now in the Ottawa Senators affiliation, is that, as a coach, you're trying to work your way up, is that kind of a dream come true a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, it's a nice connection. Certainly Ottawa's a small enough city and everybody within hockey knows everybody else. I mean, I know Randy Lee fairly well over the years, and Pierre Dorion as well. They're just people that were around the Ottawa hockey area, and you know, everybody runs in the same circles. So there is a nice continuity of information there. You know, I think it is a dream for sure to work with any affiliation. It's exciting to work with some of the prospects of the players, and they've all been just fantastic to deal with so far.
So being from Ottawa, you've been up there in Ottawa for a little bit. I know you bounce back and forth a little bit, but have you seen any IceMen jerseys up there in Ottawa yet, or are they loving us yet, or are they sort of say, oh guys, it's just our ugly American cousin?
I haven't seen, there's not too many jerseys there, I'd be lying if I said otherwise. But certainly the Evansville name has rolled around lots, whether it's on broadcast, because Chris Drieger came up last year and I think he played very well when there was a transition in their goalies. And, you know, there's been a fairly good flow of players up and down between there and Binghamton.
In your coaching career, a big portion of your career was at the University of Ottawa, and how did that experience help you develop as a coach, and what was maybe your favorite memory of being there for, I think, 11 years with the University of Ottawa?
Yeah, certainly my experience, it was great. I previous to working there, I was working at Hockey Canada, which is the equivalent of USA Hockey, and I was the assistant coach, so I was able to kind of do double duty. I wanted to increase my hockey operations exposure, and so when I got offered the opportunity to take over the university team, you know, I was interested in hockey admin as well, and so being a university coach in Canada, it's different than the NCAA, where you have every full-time responsibility. So it's kind of nice now where I'm able to turn it around, and I think I can take some of the load off of what Al has to do, because I have had lots of experience, you know, working in hockey admin. The best experience, there's no question. The first year our team was able to make the national championships, and it was the first time for that program in 19 years, and you know, it's special moments, and you never forget that.
I think one thing the fans might be interested in is when a guy plays junior hockey, doesn't he get sort of like a free education if they play Canadian juniors, that they get like almost like a free year at one of the universities? Is that true?
Well. Seriously, yeah?
No, I'm asking. I've heard that.
So how it works in Canada is that the players that play in the Canadian Hockey League, which is a major junior equivalent, the league itself has a scholarship program where they will defray any university tuition costs up to a certain amount for each player. So it's accessible to them. For every game that they play, or every year that they play in major junior, they get a year of studies that's paid for by the major junior team, which is fairly significant. And you know, they've had to compete with the NCAA, and so that was one of the areas they had to step up to the plate. And for a university coach, it was great because the administration was all done from institution to the league. So even the players didn't have to go back and, you know, chase tuition money from their old team. It went right league to the institution.
So you're stepping in and essentially replacing a guy who was here for a month and a half, and Johan Lundskog, who went home for family reasons. Is that difficult at all to step into a locker room where everybody has been together for a couple of months, and you're the new guy, even though you come in, and you mentioned, I think in our interview on the radio, you said you're not here to get in their way, you want to help them advance in their career. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, I think, you know, as we talked about, I mean, I don't know Johan, and I think you mentioned earlier, Brian, I think between Johan and in particular Al did a fantastic job assembling this team. There's a very, very good team. It's good speed, and I think its potential is not yet tapped, and that's only going to take time. There's a lot of young players. I think with Mike's addition, it'll be fantastic. He's a veteran player that does things the right way. I think as a coach, you don't ever want to disrupt what's been going well. And you want to be a resource for players that want to, get themselves to the next level with their play. And it doesn't mean the next level has to be, a jump in the level of hockey. It's just, making small incremental improvements in their play. So I want to just be seen as a resource to help them get better.
In practice, I've seen some practices where you've taken over the defense, and then is there some where you work with the forwards more so? Do you guys talk about it each day, when you go into practice, what you and Coach Sims will be responsible for, or is that kind of on the fly, taking over certain things?
Al and we speak about what he wants to do in practice, and so I guess there's some players that come and chase me down to do some individual skills. I don't mind doing that with some of the forwards. Some of the D will ask for some individual areas. In the games, I'm going to change the D, so I'm going to be with them all the time. We've taken on a bit of a division of labor here in terms of penalty killing and power play, and so I'm interested in penalty killing. It's something that I find interesting, and so I've started taking on a bit of responsibility there. I do like power play as well, but no, Al's been great to just say, hey, what would you like to to help out on, and for me, it's just trying to find. A nice balance between what players want to actually work on versus, what they just want to be left alone with.
You did get to spend a couple of years coaching in Japan. I think one was 2011-12. It looks like the Tohoku Free Blades, if I'm pronouncing it. And then 2013-14, the Nippori Paper Cranes. Now, as a coach who speaks primarily English, going over to Japan, was that difficult at all, or do you still coach the game the same way? Because do a lot of the players speak English, or how did you approach that?
Interestingly enough, they're certainly on the second Japanese team that I was with. I had a translator stand right beside me on the bench. Hockey has its universal language, so a lot of the Japanese players know a lot of the English terms because there's lots of imports that have played over there. But I was surprised there was about 4 players on the Japanese team, actually players that have played in the ECHL at different times. So their understanding of English was far better. But there was a guy that was a translator. He was a Japanese guy that had studied in the US. And literally, if I was talking to Brian about something, he would just verbally say verbatim what I had just said. But the only difficulties where you really needed somebody was, if a player wasn't happy with his role or ice time and didn't understand what you're trying to tell them, you needed sort of that one-on-one. But for the most part, in-game, the instructions you gave, the players understood.
Wow, the paper cranes. I bet that really showed your opponent. What did you play against the Pink Pansies after that?
Well, we played against the Free Blades. So.
Oh, Free Blades. Anyways, that was always one. Yeah. Anyways, to sort of talk about your time and how is hockey in Japan? And actually, I think I asked this question years ago when you were interviewed for your job here with the IceMen. Tell us a little bit more about Japanese hockey. I know they've really been big on the world level, but what are some things that is great about Japanese hockey? Just tell us a little bit about the sport in Japan.
So Japanese, obviously baseball is their big sport. Baseball is the hockey equivalent in Canada, I guess you'd say. And certainly in the US, I'd say maybe football or basketball or any of those ingrained sports, but it's a niche sport in Japan. You can't get around that. So the players that play it are real passionate about it and real driven. They're not as big as you're going to find in North America here, but I would say they're among the fastest players that I've ever been around. And so they do things very fast. The speed they can pass and skate is off the charts from what I was used to. And real good hockey sense, just not real aggressive around puck battles. That would be the hardest transition for them in North America. And they're not as big as most North American players. But I can tell you they were proud. Some of the customs that were unique, Brian, like both teams actually bowed to the stands. They did it on both sides. Both teams turned to each benches and bowed before the games. And so there was lots of cultural tendencies that as an outsider you just had to just accept and you weren't going to change.
My next question add on to that, because I used to deal with Toyota, and I used to deal with a lot of their Japanese people come from over Japan when I was working in the hotel business. I bet the discipline was phenomenal. They're a very disciplined culture.
Disciplined and real respectful as well too. So for any authority figure, you have their instant attention and respectful of your words, and that's all they expect of you to them as well. And so it was easy to be respectful of their customs from that context. They're a proud, very private group though. They don't share a lot of emotion. You don't see big shifts in, when you score a big goal or when you get scored on. There's not big, waves of emotion that you're used to in North America.
Now, I know this might be a weird question to the fans, but this is just because I used to deal with my Toyota people. Did you guys have showers or did you guys have baths? Because I know they're a big bathing culture.
Yeah. And there were showers always available, but no, you're right. It was that they treated. They took care of every small detail, and for them, that was part of a person's ability to recharge their batteries, was how you took care of yourself, and that's part of their culture.
Most recently, coming to the IceMen from Canadian Juniors, you worked briefly with Cumberland and then also with the Hawkesbury Hawks. What's the biggest difference now in your 4 or 5 games that you've been coaching the IceMen? What can you other than maybe the speed?
Yeah, it's great to deal with adults that are elite hockey players. I mean, just in practice when you run drills, it was fun to be with the energy around really young players, and they're players that are trying to kick and scratch to get themselves to the next level. It's exciting for me as a coach to be around players when you describe something that you'd like to see done, and they can do it in a second, and the precision and the skill that they have. That's the most dramatic thing that I've been able to get exposure to, and I would say you're right as well, John. Like the speed of the game, you lose sight of how fast and how good this level of hockey is.
When you've gotten a chance to meet all of our guys now in Evansville, now that you've been here long enough to meet all of them, are there any players that you have similar connections with from past teams or past years or from where you came from that maybe you never knew about or hadn't met those guys before, and then you realize that you'd crossed paths somewhere down the line before?
So one of my worst personality traits is that I think that everybody in hockey is connected. So I've rifled through every player, and it's not like I've studied where they played and all that, but you just find different ways of connections. And it's funny, Mike Duco and I were chit-chatting the other day. One of the guys that played on the Nippon Paper Cranes was a guy named Eric Regan, and he was a D that comes and trains with Mike, I think, in the summertime. And hockey's such a small world, and it doesn't take too many strides before you run into people that know each other. But these guys have been fantastic to deal with, this group of players.
Let's get to know you a little bit better now, maybe off the ice. So we're here with Dave Leger, the new assistant coach of the Evansville IceMen on EvansvilleIcemen.com and out at Beef O'Brady's in Newburgh. Dave, you and I talked about this in our radio interview, but for those that didn't get a chance to listen to it, grew up in Ottawa and idolized a couple of players that went on to play for a certain team that became your favorite team, nowhere near Ottawa. But what team was that, and how did that come about?
Yeah, so as a young player, the only real, in Ottawa we had 2 real teams that were significant. The Ottawa Rough Riders, which is a CFL football team, and the Ottawa 67. So when I was a young kid going to those games, probably not unlike a lot of the IceMen fans, Bobby Smith and Steve Payne were 2 big players for Ottawa, and I was around grade 5 or grade 6, a real captive time, and they went on to the Minnesota North Stars. So the North Stars became my favorite team when I was a little kid, actually.
Were you as devastated as maybe some of my relatives were when they left for Dallas?
Yeah, but I saw that they were bringing out the retro jersey there for some game coming up. So
it's that stadium series in February against the Blackhawks. The
Sharp.
First outdoor game in Minnesota history.
Sharp uniform.
So what kinds of things do you like to do in your spare time when you're not at the rink? Because I'm sure you spend probably a good majority of your day in or around hockey in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I like to turn my brain off, and certainly spending time with my family. But my downtime that I find recharge. I like to listen to music, and I like to movies and TV shows. And again, I like to just turn my brain off. Sometimes when you're a coach and I don't think a lot of people realize that it's mentally fatiguing. You know, you're not obviously physically fatigued after a game, but you finish a game or you finish a practice, and you've just been, you know, inside your brain all the time, and players want stuff from you, which is not a bad thing, and people are always asking info. It's nice just to turn your brain off for a couple of minutes.
Do we have any questions out in the crowd for our new assistant coach? Yeah. Yeah, Rick, I'm sorry. Did they fight in Japan like they do here? And that was the question.
Yeah, I mean, seldom. It would happen the odd time, but never gloves off, as you would see in an IceMen game. Almost like flipper slapping, I guess you'd see, with the gloves on. But
Smell my glove.
That was a great question. I didn't even think of that, but it's probably similar to NCAA college hockey. They can't actually fight. It's more pushing and shoving. Any other questions? Yes.
As far as Binghamton's concerned, Nick Tusolino, is that how you say his name?
Yeah, Tuzzolino.
He's only played like 6 games up there, and originally this year we thought he was going to be here, and he wound up, is he hurt or?
Question was about Nick Tuzzolino at Binghamton. Only played about 6 games. We had discussed early, Dave, in the season before you got here about the possibility of him coming to the IceMen. That hasn't ever happened. Now we're short a defenseman with only 5 with Diode Fauvel on injured reserve still. Have you heard anything since you got to town, or?
No. No, I know Al has been looking to find a temporary replacement defenseman for us for the next couple of days. You know, Ben's status is up in the air here right now. He's trying to, you know, come back from a groin injury. But Tuzzolino's name I have not heard discussed.
I think that fizzled out, and not to step on anything, I think from what I heard with Tuzzolino is I'm pretty sure he's married with a couple of kids, and his family's in that area. And he's at a point in his career now where I don't know if he would want to ride the bench in Binghamton, possibly get traded somewhere else, or move his whole family across the country to Evansville. I don't know if that's the case, but I know I feel like if he would have come to us, it would have been a lot sooner, having only played 6 games so far for Binghamton. At this point, I don't know if that'll be the case.
Is there a feeling Troy will be gone a while?
Feeling Troy Rutkowski will be gone a while.
I'm not certain of how long he's going to be there. I was speaking to Al about that today, just asking him about it. You know, he played, I think, the last 2 games Troy did, so, you know, they've won 3, so I think doing the math to that, he's going to probably stay there as long as things are going well for their team. But I don't think we're expecting him to come back imminently.
Any talks with Randy Lee on maybe a possible sending a guy down to help us out, or are you guys just going to look for your guys' own replacement till Fauvel's back?
I know that Al and Randy speak almost daily on how things are going with the players. He didn't mention anything to me today about Al, that is, on any update from that. But I know those are ongoing discussions that they're having all the time.
Anything else? I'm blind, so practically.
Girls back there, do you have any story or something you want to chime in to embarrass Dad up here on the show? I like stirring the pot.
Well, Dave, we're happy to have you. Thanks so much for coming on the show. Welcome to Evansville. I'm sure a lot of these fans are looking forward to meeting you, and hopefully we can keep things rolling. Mike Duco.
Mike Duco. And rocking that beard. Looks good.
Yeah, it's not going anywhere. The beard's not.
My mic's not working. The beard's not going anywhere, folks. That's good news. Keep that beard. How long have you been growing that?
I just keep it maintained, keep it going.
Yeah.
When I
Do you
feel like
remember
it.
when you started it, like from bare to starting to grow it, or no?
Probably like September sometime.
Okay, so not that long.
No, not that long.
Because I was gonna say the picture we have of you on the jumbotron. Have you seen that thing yet?
I think that was me in Vancouver.
Yeah, I think it was maybe from the Canucks. We had someone just pulled it off the internet, changed the jersey to the IceMen jersey, and there you go.
No, that's what they were saying after I scored. My girlfriend was saying I didn't even know who that was.
She didn't even recognize you.
Yeah.
How many years ago? Let's see. How many years ago is that? 3 or 4?
3 or 4 years ago, yeah.
So we got an old picture of Mike up there in the jumbotron. Every time you score at the Ford Center, just everybody keep that in mind. You already have 2 of them in 4 games. How does it feel to jump into this group of guys and be a part of this team?
It's great. Obviously, it's an odd situation coming into a new team, kind of mid-season, but everyone's been very welcoming. Staff's been great, and we've been winning some games, so it's been a lot of fun.
How was it the other night to play against your old team up from Indianapolis?
I loved it. I thought it was hilarious. I still have some buddies on that team, so it's always fun to play people you know, and obviously we got the first one, so second one was a little disappointing, but well, I'll take one.
Well, and we like to make fun of Scott Hillman here. So did you make fun of his hair at all?
What about it? Let's hear it.
Well, it's just nice and shiny and long all the time, all greased up.
No, yeah, he's got good flow. I think he might toss a couple highlights in every now and then, but he's a good guy, and we got along great, so.
Well, like I said, we like to tease him about his hair because we think he had, when we had Johan here, we thought Johan could beat him out for the best hair in the league. But since Johan's left us now, we think it's now Scotty Hillman.
I know Johan. I've known Johan since I was like 14, and he's thinning.
Yes.
He's thinning.
I hope he's listening. If not,
all the way from Sweden. I don't think so.
if not, we'll share this on his Facebook page when we post it.
Send it to him. He'll love it.
Some people don't know this, but the idea to bring you into Evansville happened way back in early November when Johan was still a part of the team. I believe we were in Wheeling when I first caught wind of it. How did that come about when talking to Al about coming to the IceMen from where you were? Because you were playing in England at the time to start the year.
Well, it's actually kind of weird because obviously Johan was a huge factor in me coming here. Him and my brother coached a team in Toronto, just outside of Toronto together. So I have a pretty good relationship with Johan, which is why I can kind of make jokes like that, as you can see, even though he's not here. But yeah, I just kind of touched base with him and let him know what my situation was and just asked, if there would be any room on this team. And, he seemed pretty pumped about it. So I knew it was going to be a good fit. And when, I was on my way back and heard you guys were going to Alaska, so I just waited out a week there. And
Smart.
Yeah. But then I had to wait a little bit for the visa, but he was a huge factor in me coming here, absolutely.
Gotta love immigration.
Yeah, that's what held us up, right? The immigration rules.
Oh, yes.
We've had a couple of those this year. With our emergency backup, we tried to get down here from Peoria. Had to send them right back up. Here with Mike Duco, newest member of the IceMen on EvansvilleIcemen.com and out at Beef O'Brady's in Newburgh. Mike, you captained the Indy Fuel last year. You mentioned playing against them. How many of those guys do you remember playing with on that team, and was there some extra chirping going on out on the ice?
They were just happy to see me, I think. I haven't seen those guys in a long time, and like I said, I have some pretty good relationships with guys on those teams, and I still keep in close contact, so it was just a fun experience for me. Obviously, it's a little odd going from captaining a team to, going to England to coming back and end up playing them in the first couple games, but I just really enjoyed it and, had fun with it.
Did Coach Timms kind of go over your role with you before you got in or right when you got in? Because that first game, you scored a goal against Atlanta, and you were on the power play, I think on the first power play unit, and tipped in a shot from the point. You basically play on all 3 special teams, or both special teams in even strength. Did Coach Timms kind of run down with you what you're going to be basically looked at to do here?
Well, we think we're the first unit, but really Foss and those guys are.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, we're not the first. No, but he just kind of gave me, he said, I'm going to put you in a couple of key situations, He knew I hadn't played in 3 weeks to a month, so just kind of rolled with it and said, if you're tired, let me know. So I just wanted to get out there. I'd kept in pretty good shape for the most part. And obviously, we had talked beforehand, and he knew that I'd played on the power play before, net front, and I was on penalty kill in certain situations. So he had a good idea, I guess, what he was going to use me for.
Now, I remember, I get to watch you now, and I like your new uniform that you're in. But I watched you last year, and in that train wreck of a season we had last hockey season. But anyways, you sure like to stir the pot, don't you? And you sure like to stir against us, and with over 113 penalty minutes. So is that your style of play? You like to score goals and stir it up with your opponents?
I mean, I'm a little, from the time I was smaller, I was kind of told to make up for my size in other ways. So obviously I'm not the biggest guy out there, and I got to kind of stand up for myself and play a physical role. So that's kind of what I've done my entire pro career here, I'm sure, as you can see with the penalty minutes. But that's not just what I'm not just going out there to fight, or I'm out there to finish hits. As you can see in my past, I've put the puck in the net and I contribute offensively as well. So I think my plus minus is kind of tough there, but we'll try and fix that this year.
NHL experience. Mike started out in Florida in 2009, 2010, played in Vancouver for some time as well. How did that come about, being undrafted?
Well, what a situation that was. I was 18. I ended up going to the Edmonton Oilers camp 2 years in a row. Had good talks with them, but for whatever reason, they never invited me back. So I actually turned down like Detroit, a couple other teams to go to their camp that year, thinking that I was going back to Edmonton, and they didn't invite me back. So I was in OA in Kitchener, just sitting there. They were actually hosting a NHL rookie tournament at our rink, and one of the guys on Florida got hurt, pulled his groin in the rookie camp. So they needed a guy. Obviously knew I had experience going into those rookie camps, and I'd been to main camp as well before. So they gave me an opportunity, said, we'll give you a chance here. Don't think too much, just go and play. I played, I think, 5 games. I actually fought Nathan Moon in that tournament.
In the rookie tournament?
Yeah, in that tournament, yeah. He gave me a good whack. I'm sure he gives a lot of people those. And I was going to the bench and turned around, and I think I gave him a couple of whacks. But
hold on. Let me stop you. You were in Florida, and Mooner was in Pittsburgh?
Pittsburgh, yeah. Rookies.
Wow.
Long time ago.
That's awesome. I had no idea.
Yeah, so went from the...
Yeah.
He
Moon or Duco?
He can't. I went from there. I ended up playing, I think, 4 or 5 games. I had like 6 or 7 fights, had about 4 or 5 points, and they were really impressed and brought me to main camp. Ended up playing like 6 or 7 games in that camp, and sent me down to Rochester, and then offered me a contract. But I ended up going back to junior to play in the Memorial Cup we were hosting. So
after that 10-game limit that you can play,
I didn't even play. I was
gotcha.
just sitting there waiting. Yeah, and then they said there's no point in you sitting here and in and out of the lineup when you could be a potential Memorial Cup champion at the end of the season.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's a pretty cool experience for anybody to get to play in the Memorial Cup, and I want to get to that next. But it says here, and I'm just reading off stats, you had 50 penalty minutes in 10 games with Florida.
Yeah.
2009, 2010.
Yeah, I got 36 in one play in Washington, so that helped.
Awesome. I guess at that point, when you're brought into camp for that reason, not one reason, but that's a big reason, and you definitely show that you can fight. You pretty much have to embrace it to get your shot at the NHL, right? Because there are only so many spots in the top level of hockey. You basically embrace that role.
Yeah, well, I mean, some nights, I think like my second game in the NHL against Atlanta, I played 1 minute and 20 seconds. So, I mean, in that minute and 20 seconds, I better do something to stand out. And I don't think I did it that game, but for the most part, I didn't really play all that much when I was up. I got a chance more so in Vancouver. But yeah, in Florida, I was going out there to try and goon it up, I guess.
We had a few guys that we've talked to on the IceMen this year that have had a chance to play in the Memorial Cup Finals. Chris Carlisle was one of them, who was here for 2 games and then went up to Binghamton and has stayed there since. But he was with Oshawa last year, who won the Memorial Cup. What was your experience like, just being a part of that huge event, which Canada obviously is obsessed with this, or at the end of the hockey season every year?
It was amazing. It was a huge bonus as well because we hosted it. So it was familiar. Our rink was packed. Everyone was cheering for us. Unfortunately, we lost in the finals to Spokane. That was the year that they broke the cup, and I'm kind of happy that happened. But it was awesome. I got a ring for winning the OHL championship. I think the Memorial Cup one would have been a little bigger, but I had a great experience, and that's something I'll remember forever.
Was that the year they just dropped it on the ice?
Yeah,
they won it, and
they went to pass it, and it broke in half as they were.
Because our equipment manager, Alex Kermitis,
He
was the
in
equipment.
Spokane, yeah. He
I don't know if he
wasn't
was there yet. He wasn't there quite yet, but he ended up going to Spokane. That's where that connection's at. See, now I'm taking after Dave back there, and I have all these connections that we're bringing up that just, some of them don't even make sense, but I'm throwing them out there. Growing up in Toronto, did you grow up a Maple Leafs fan? Is that fair to say, or is...
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, right now, I don't really, obviously I'm a little older, I don't have a favorite team. I'm definitely not buying a Leafs jersey, for Christmas and wearing it around the house.
Probably not a great idea.
Yeah, but yeah, I cheered for the Leafs, obviously, guys like Wendell Clark, Ty Domi, Darcy Tucker, all those guys I kind of watched and, maybe styled my game a little bit after that, but Toronto, they've had a tough go for a while here.
You know you can make Sky happy and buy a Canadiens jersey.
I don't think so. I don't know about that.
Very nice way to let them down. At least Vancouver, when you went to the Canucks for a short while, they're not a rival of Toronto at all, other than being both Canadian teams, but all the way across, right? Or am I wrong on that?
No, I have no problem with Vancouver. I mean, that was a great time. Their fans are amazing. It's obviously a Canadian hockey town, so the fans are pretty intense there, and it's a great atmosphere.
At any time during your stints in the NHL, did you cross paths with Roberto Luongo in Vancouver and Florida? Because I think
Yeah, in Vancouver.
is he as goofy as they say?
Oh, he's a great guy. Yeah, he's awesome. He's a character in the room, that's for sure.
If you don't follow Roberto Luongo on Twitter, hilarious. Was it Strombone? I think
1.
is his Strombone 1 is his Twitter account. In your whole career, what advice would you have for some of the younger kids that want to grow up and be a pro hockey player, to follow? What does it take to get to where you got?
Well, I mean, my size, everything about my game, it's, I wasn't really projected to ever play a game in the NHL. Obviously, growing up, that's everyone's goal, and luckily enough, I was, in that small percentage of people that even got a chance to be there. But I mean, it's really just hard work, dedication. If the guys are going out in high school and there's a big party, sometimes you just got to stay in your house and take it easy. Be serious at the gym. Nutrition is a huge thing now. You're not just these guys are athletes now. Like they're huge. You can see like the World Juniors. These young kids coming up, they're all taking it pretty serious now, and the game's just getting that much better because of it.
What things do you like to do away from the rink as far as hobbies? Do you golf at all? A lot of guys are Netflix bingers. Bingers is even a word.
When I was in England, me and my girl here, we watched quite a bit of Netflix. I think we've watched probably every series there is to watch on Netflix right now. Game of Thrones, obviously, is HBO. We watched that. We did we were there. We did a lot of traveling around to put a heritage pass, went and see like castles and all the heritage obviously that England has to offer. But when I'm back home, my brother has a new baby girl. She's like 8 months old. So when I'm home, I like to get as much time with her as I can.
I was going to say, being in England for a little while must have been pretty cool to see all the famous places and tour around when you have time. What was the ultimate reason you wanted to come back though and play in North America again?
Well, I went there with the intentions of I talked to the coach and I was told that I was going to be in like a pretty solid role where I could play offensive and put points up, and I guess I was one of the higher paid players at the time there, and they told me basically you haven't been getting points, so it kind of went back and forth where I was like, I'm not on the power play, this and that, and
right.
At the end of the day it just didn't seem like things were really working out that well for me there. So like I said, I contacted Johan before anyone and just kind of told him my situation, and he told Al, and the rest was history. Here I am.
And so far so good. In 4 games, you feel like you're being welcomed in by all these guys, and you like your role?
No, yeah, it's awesome. The guys have been great. Coaching staff's been awesome. Whenever we need extra help, he'll stay out there for an extra hour, obviously, if he needs to. But it's been awesome. There's no complaints so far.
So I know you only been in Evansville for a few weeks, but anything that stands out that you like about the Evansville area that you do?
Well, there's the one street we live off of. There's basically everything that you could possibly think of food-wise.
Green River?
The ball's on there. So that I honestly haven't really seen too much, because I haven't been here all that long yet, and games and whatnot. And I ended up going home for Christmas for 5 days as well. I drove in the 14 hours and then 4 days later got on a plane and went right back. So I haven't really had too much time to scope out the scene here.
Do you have any questions for Mike out in the crowd? Yes.
Everybody knows that the refs are totally impartial.
Oh boy.
But do you feel, because just as a fan watching the game, I feel like there have been more than one occasion where your reputation preceded you. Do you ever feel that way?
All right, so I'm going to repeat that question for the radio listeners too. We all know the refs are impartial all the time, never make mistakes. But sometimes it seems like guys with reputations will get a few more penalties here or there, or they'll be watching them. Is that a fair interpretation of the question? What's your take on it?
Well, I mean, I've definitely been, not lately, no, but I've definitely been in situations where I'm sure if it was someone else that did the exact same thing, they probably wouldn't have been given a penalty. So they'll definitely, they'll remember your name, and you just got to kind of be nice to them. And I yelled at that guy a little bit last game, and I don't think he really enjoyed that. So he told Al to settle me down. And
He was one of the better ones we've had.
that's tough.
Yeah, just wait. We've got a good stretch coming up here.
Wait till Andy Thackerberry called you.
I tell you, one player who kind of gets a bad deal on our team just from a couple penalties early in the season. 25 he gets called for so many reputation penalties.
And that's a 20-year-old first-year player.
Yeah, well,
Wait till he's 3 years in.
good point. Any other questions for Mike Duco? Yes.
Saturday night we were defensemen short, but we had an extra forward, and I noticed the lines were really kind of rotating up front. Making a difference to you as far as who you play with? Or?
Some line rotation a little bit. Does it make a difference to you with who you're playing with this early in your time here?
Well, Al's done a pretty decent job managing the bench there on the forward end. I'm not really quite sure what happens on the D side, but he rotates the guys in. You might miss a shift here and there, but you want to get everyone involved. And when you have all four lines or we have two extra guys, I guess, on the third or the fourth line there, but when you have all those guys going as well, it makes it a lot easier on you. Obviously, you guys can be a little more, energetic, have a little more jump in their step on the ice, and at the end of the day, obviously, playing three lines is pretty exhausting for the most part. So to have two extra guys that are fully capable of stepping in and playing a couple extra minutes is a pretty good thing.
I was going to say that factored into it a big amount on Saturday, having 11 forwards and only 5 defensemen, with Fovell out and Rutkowski getting sent up. Allows us a little more flexibility on the front end to be able to shift that third line up and have 5 of you guys to rotate on the third and fourth line. And then defensively, obviously, that's where it could be tough. But I thought we played pretty well on defense with just 5 guys on only 19 shots on our goalie on Saturday.
No, yeah, it looked good. I think it was from the back pressure that the forwards.
Oh, it was the back. Yeah, it was you guys.
I think it was the back pressure.
Good back checking.
No, they played great. Obviously, the goalie stepped in and played very well as well. But I'm good buddies. I played junior hockey in Stouffville with Neil Conway, the goalie on the other team, and we gave him a lot of shots there. So he did a great job, though.
Yeah, you got to work out in, that's for sure.
Yeah.
47 saves.
Was he asleep after the game? Like what? I mean, it seemed like you wore him out.
I didn't see him after the game. I had some other things going on. I had an autograph session or something in the main lobby there, so I didn't get a chance to talk to him. But I'm sure he wasn't feeling too great after that game.
Anything else for Mike? Aaron.
Yeah. I mentioned whenever you first got in, last year I absolutely hated every time we played Indy because you were in there. So whenever we got the chance to acquire you, I was like, yes, let's not screw this up. What kind of goes through your mind whenever you do have those situations of that you're playing a former team or you're playing somebody that you grew up playing against? Do you just kind of separate that on the business end, or just like, okay, I'm not going to hurt this guy because I know?
So let me try to rephrase that a little bit. So it's kind of like you're a player that you love to have on your team, but you hate to play against a little bit. When you were with Indy, obviously, frustrating player to play against. Now you're on the IceMen, going up against some of those old teammates. How do you mentally kind of prepare? Is it all business, or do you have a few settles to score, or like to have a little fun with it?
No, I have fun with it. Those guys, obviously, I feel like they might try a little harder against me, and I'll definitely try a little harder against them. So, like I said, I made good friends there, but if I have a chance to pop one of them, I will. So,
I meant to say scores to settle, not settles to score. I don't know if anybody caught that, but anything else for Mike? Yes?
Did you play with Riker?
Cody?
Yeah.
Yeah, he follows me everywhere. He was Orlando, he was there. Indy, he was there, and I get there here, and there's Cody right there.
So you guys are kind of a package deal. You sign one, you have to sign the other.
Yeah, I told him, I'm like, you're following me around, man. He's like, I don't think so. He's like, everywhere I go. He's like, you end up there a week later. So he's a good guy. He's a great goalie. Obviously, I don't know if you'd seen like a couple of years ago, he's had 2 top 10 plays or 2 plays in the top 10 in the Sports Center or whatever it was, and unbelievable saves. He's capable of doing pretty special things back there. So
hopefully we can get him healthy. He is a great guy. You mentioned it, and a good goalie. One more maybe for, yes, Rick.
Guys have reputations. Did you play with the guy last year that named Vincent?
Vincent
Arsenault?
Arsenault.
Yeah.
You didn't play with him?
Oh, yeah.
Oh. What do you think of him?
He's got that reputation. He's buddies with Dunner, so of course he does.
Well, our fans love Vincent Arsenault, Mike.
Well, I remember what he did last year. I remember.
I wasn't here, so I don't get to play good guy or bad guy on this one. But Vincent Dunn's friends with him.
Yeah, French connection.
Maybe that'll ease the tension between the two sides.
So you got Quad City coming up, 2 games. Got any friends on that team?
Quad City, I have one buddy on that team, Kevin Henderson, but he's out with a concussion right now, so I do not have any friends on that team, that I know of at least. I'm not too sure. I haven't looked.
You go making friends on that team?
I doubt it.
How about some enemies?
Maybe 1 or 2.
Well, we appreciate you coming down here and doing this. Welcome to Evansville. We wish you all the best and look forward to talking to you again soon. Well, Brian, we've got a few crazy stories to get to before we wrap up the show with the announcement we teased before. Some people
Yes,
maybe
big
are
announcement tonight.
I don't want to hear it.
See,
I know,
some
a couple
people
of
already,
fans have
some
heard
people
it
already
before.
know the news.
I know.
So, a couple stories that you helped do some research on. This is an interesting one. ECHL coach of the Wheeling Nailers, who we played back in November, now the coach of the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins. He got promoted to the Pittsburgh Penguins AHL affiliate.
Yeah, and the AHL, the Penguins, Mike Sullivan was promoted to Pittsburgh's job. Pittsburgh got rid of their head coach, so they promoted Mike Sullivan up, and then Coach Clark Donatelli, Clark Donatelli, got promoted, and I tell you what, Donatelli, he's actually is Wheeling's all-time leader in coaches wins, posted an overall record of 133 and 109. And actually they're playing very well this coming season. I think they're they were like 14 and 10 or something like that when he got the call up. So definitely it's a great promotion for Donatelli, and well deserved. Like I said, a lot of people see Wheeling Nailers, but I really like I like the organization, and they've always been great. When I was at league meetings, from their general manager to the broadcaster, I tell you what, even though it's a small West Virginia town,
I liked it.
It's a great, well-run organization. And like I said, congratulations to Clark Donatelli for his promotion up to the AHL, well deserved.
The World Junior Championships are going on in Finland right now, and most of the people will be happy with this, but I know a few
USA.
The USA beat Canada in the opener 4-2. But the big news, the player of the game for the U.S. was Ottawa Senators first-round draft pick Colin White, who plays for the U.S. He's from Hanover, Massachusetts. He was drafted in the first round by Ottawa, and he was the player of the game for the U.S., but a big 4-2 win over Canada in the first round. Now, the buzzkill to the story is today the U.S. lost to Sweden earlier, 1-0, I think, and they got shut out with like 46 save shutout or something by Sweden's 19-year-old goalie. So,
I wonder what Binsberg and Stromberg and Carlson were saying in the locker room today. Do you think they follow it?
I'm sure they follow it. I'm sure they know maybe some of the guys, but a guy like Carlson, he's 27 or 28, and a lot of the players are obviously 18 to 20, so he may not know a lot of them unless it's younger brothers or buddies. Here's one you looked up, Brian. Shannon Sabados, who is the Canadian goaltender who won the gold medal for Team Canada this past Olympics. She's playing in the Southern Professional Hockey League for the Columbus Cottonmouths. And she made history. She's the first woman to register a shutout in men's professional hockey. So it's a pretty cool story. She was actually the opposing goalie for that story we talked about last week, where the Columbus coach put a hit on the Peoria goalie. Shannon Sabados was in the opposing net. And so people, one thing that Peoria's coach said in the post-game interview, and he was so mad about it, is he said, what would have happened if one of our players ran Shannon Sabados and knocked her out of the game? Would it have been the same reaction and the same punishment and the same suspension? Well, since we talked last week on IceMen Live, she was the first women's goaltender to record a shutout in a men's professional hockey game. So I thought that was a pretty cool story. Obviously, she knocked off Team USA in the gold medal game in the Olympics. And I had a friend or two on Team USA's women's team. That was kind of a bummer. But good for her. That's a big accomplishment.
Was our friend Ramsey, was she on that U.S. Olympic team?
She was not. Gigi Marvin, who is from Warroad, Minnesota. I broadcasted up there for 3 years. The whole Marvin family from Marvin Windows lives up in Warroad. It's a tiny little town of 1,600 people, and Gigi is an awesome hockey player. She played in the last couple Olympics for Team USA. So that was a heartbreaker because I think they were right there in it, and they almost won it, and then lost in overtime on a 5-on-3 penalty kill, if I remember right. I'm trying to go back to the Olympics. It's been a long time ago. Any other crazy stories to get to? Well, how players like to play soccer in the hallways before the games? They're always kicking a soccer ball around. In the Ford Center hallways.
That's not allowed in the Ford Center anymore.
Oh yeah, thanks to your note, or is it actually not allowed?
No, it's not allowed. They post, the Ford Center people posted the sign saying no soccer, no. So I went ahead and made my own sign.
So that prompted your sign?
Yes, that prompted my sign.
Interesting. Well, anyways, so every level of hockey I've ever been in, the players before the game will get in a circle and kind of warm themselves up by playing soccer and just kick it back and forth. The backup goalie for the Colorado Avalanche, Rito Berra, hurt himself playing soccer and is out now. He has to get an MRI. He injured his ankle pretty bad. And so getting ready for the game, he's jumping around, kicking the soccer ball around, and hurt himself. So add that to another list of crazy injuries. The goalie for the Colorado Avalanche. You normally hear stuff like that or don't hear about it because it happens rarely. It does, it's at lower levels. But for the NHL, for that to happen, that's a pretty crazy story.
Great, you're giving the building ammunition against me on the no soccer rule.
Oh yeah, didn't really think that one through.
Good story, buddy. Appreciate that.
I'm sure our players are really happy about that one too.
But they're playing football now, I think.
Oh, they're throwing the football around? There's
now.
no sign that says no football?
No sign that says no football.
That's good.
In the Ford Center. They said we broke a light.
Oh. Maybe it was our opponent. Did they check which light?
It was one of our opponents that broke a light.
It was an opponent?
Yeah.
Maybe we should just ban the opposing team.
My sign was so much more funnier. You want to know about my sign? I bet the fans want to know about my sign.
We would love to hear it.
Hey.
All right.
We're going for the iceberg.
You got to be careful, because after this next announcement, you might not be affected by these icebergs we keep crashing into.
Well, so I made a little sign to have a little fun with them because they never notified us about this no soccer rule. So I put up a sign the other day that said no pepper, which means no pepper is it's a baseball term. Can't hit up against things, so no pepper. I had no skateboarding. I had no walking. I had no more what's the basketball term? No more.
I forget. I've only seen that movie once.
Can you guys help me out real quick? Because for some reason it's slipped my mind.
You're the one who made the sign.
I know. I was the one who made the sign. Gosh. Just slipped my mind right there. But also, my last one was no talking about the new Star Wars movie before anyone else has watched it. So that was one of my other terms. So they didn't think it was too funny because they tore all my signs down and took pictures of it and said, "Who did this?" So, anyways, so I tried to reply to their, not communicating with us.
Well, the reason you may not be reprimanded or let go or go down with the ship, Brian? I guess it's maybe not the best transition, but we're getting to the end of the show here.
Well, I guess I'm going to make the big announcement tonight. It's, and I appreciate Mr. Gary here because, if it wasn't for Mr. Gary, I would never gotten this great new opportunity. I'm leaving the IceMen starting January 4th. December 31st will be my last game. I will be taking a new job with Napa Quadco, with Napa Auto Parts, being their outside sales manager for Evansville, Mount Carmel, and Princeton. So I will still be in the area, but at the same time, it's hard to leave this organization because I love it. I love all the fans. And I'll still be around. I really will. I'll still be around. I'll still be coming to games. But I'll be coming to games as a fan. So now I can be kicked out of the games for saying things about the referee.
And now you can be our celebrity guest on IceMen Live.
I can be the celebrity guest on IceMen Live and tell my 2 cents, which I can't get fined then. So
I still can, so maybe
you might want to keep me off the show. But no, I love you guys. I love the IceMen. I love every fan, and I appreciate everything you guys have done for me these past 8 years. So, thank you so much. So,
you're gonna be tough to replace, Brian, or impossible to replace, really. You've been here since day one of the
been here
franchise?
since day one.
You and Bridget.
Me and Bridget. Bridget got paid. I had to volunteer.
Better looking.
That's what it was. She's better looking. So.
Accurate.
But no, actually, IceMen fact here. I left the IceMen after the first year just for a couple months because me and the head coach got into it after the game.
Really?
Yeah, he was making some bad calls, and I sort of stepped in and told him to move over. I was taking over the bench. He didn't like that too well.
Well, you stuck around, and you'll be missed, my friend.
Well, like I said, I appreciate it, and I think everything's going to be great, and so I don't get all emotional and upset. Let's bring on John Greenwell, and he can tell us about UFC 195.
So, our new co-host of IceMen Live, we can formally say as John makes his way up here, will be my partner in crime up in the broadcast booth, Travis Tornatore. So let's hear it for Travis. He's going to be joining us from now on IceMen Live. Brian, I'll let you take it home with John here at Beefo Brews.
All right, we have John, the owner.
I'm going to make you cry.
Don't.
Come on, who wants to see Brian cry on his last night? Hey, who wants to see him cry?
No, it's sad. I mean, it really is. But
We love you, Brian. We're going to miss you so much.
Trust me, I'll still be around. But now I get to be the crazy hockey fan and paint my face and get kicked out of the Ford Center.
Well, looking forward to seeing that.
Yeah, see, your dad will actually be the usher that escorts me out this time. But anyways, UFC 195 coming up.
Yep,
this Saturday night.
This Saturday night, Robbie Lawler and I don't know his first name, Condit. Lawler and Condit on Saturday night. Looking forward to it. UFC's been a lot of fun the last few months, and it's going to be packed in here again, I believe, this Saturday. And hopefully everybody be recovered from New Year's Eve by Saturday to come out. But we're looking forward to it and looking like it's going to be a really good fight card.
Well, I tell you what, Robbie Lawler, he's actually he came from did he come from Strikeforce?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so he came over Strikeforce, and he's pretty much became a person to be reckoned with in the UFC, and I think he holds one of the belts, doesn't he?
Yes, is that the welterweight championship bout? So yeah, I believe he owns the welterweight. I got to see him in Nashville when we went down to the fight. He was down there for the fights, and he's a pretty stout looking dude. So it should be a really good fight, and hopefully everybody come out and have a good time. And sorry about the Coors Light tonight. We ran out yesterday during football. And so Eric from Monarch Beverage wanted me to make sure you will have it back next week. He promises.
All right.
it's that time of year. Beers runs kind of scarce sometimes, but we'll have it back in tomorrow, so we'll have it back next week.
Well, anyways, also any other promotions are coming up at Beef O'Brady's in the next couple of days, or let people know any New Year's plans, any New Year's plans or packages?
No, we're not going to do anything special for New Year's. We have in the past, but I think my employees want to spend some time with their family too over New Year's, so we're just going to do a regular day and close around 10 o'clock and go home and celebrate the New Year's.
Excellent. And then any New Year's Day plans, or is Beef O'Brady's closed for New Year's Day?
No. We will be wide open at 11 a.m. for all the college bowl games and everything else that goes on New Year's Day. And I believe we're the only one in Newburgh that's actually open on New Year's Day. So
if people also want to come in for the Winter Classic on New Year's Day, they can come here and watch. This could be the Winter Classic headquarters at Beef O'Brady's?
Absolutely. We'd love to have you. That's a good fight going on up there. Hey, speaking of fights, I really want to see a replay of that fight with Mooner and what was the new guy? Duco. I want to see a replay of that. Maybe we could set that up here at Beef's one Monday night and move all the tables and we'll stand around and let them go at it right here. How about that?
Yeah, there might any hockeyfights.com on this?
That's what I'm looking
at. John's looking up.
They're going to try to find it. Put that on the Beast Facebook page. That's what I'd like to see.
I have a feeling I'm not going to be able to find it because it was in rookie camp. And it wasn't in an actual game, so I'm thinking it won't be on there.
We'll have a replay right here, and we'll record it and put it on the podcast. That'll be fun. What do you guys think? Think that's a good idea? Did he leave yet? Will he do it? Where's he at? Oh, he left. All right.
Well, I tell you what, it's great to have Mike Duco and Nathan Moon because they both instigate the other two teams to take stupid penalties, and you saw that a lot last Saturday night. Moon and both of them were just egging it on Cincinnati, and Cincinnati was just losing it, and that's how I think we've won the game on one of the power plays, wasn't it? Did we have a power play goal? No. 4-on-4 tied it? Okay.
But I will say, I didn't get a chance to ask Dave this when he was up here, but I talked about it on the broadcast, and I kind of said it's one of those gut instinct decisions you have to make as a coach. And I've never been a coach. I can never be a coach. I can't begin to understand how difficult it has to be to make some of those decisions. But Cincinnati iced the puck right before we scored the game winner with 1:06 left. And I think it was a pretty long shift. Their guys were out there. And their coach, Matt McDonald, had his timeout, but did not use it to maybe give those guys a rest. Sure enough, Jordan Sims won that face-off clean, and then the pass was sent down from Rumble to Moon, and then Moon took the shot. Sims got the rebound. The rest is history, and the IceMen won. Again, you go back in retrospect, and it's easy to talk about, hindsight's 20/20. And I've never been a coach, so I can't critique that at all. But in that moment, you typically see that timeout called, especially in a tight game. Your best line's been out there for a while. There's a timeout opportunity, and you didn't call it. And then sure enough, they stayed out there. Sims won the face-off, and we scored and won the game.
Hey, I will tell you, I actually used a free car wash the other day for the first time. That was cool.
Yeah.
We've been scoring a lot of points lately, haven't we?
I know. I think Bill over there has put up a for sale sign after all the car washes at Lucas Oil.
Well, thanks for having me up again, guys. And thanks again for everybody coming out tonight. And Brian, you will be sorely missed. I know we've made an awesome friendship the last couple of years, and looking forward to working with Bridget a little more. She's definitely easier on the eyes than you are.
Yes, we know this.
But we are going to miss you very much. And anytime you want to go to a game, you just give me a call, and I've got plenty of tickets. We'll go.
All right. Well, sounds great. Thank you so much, John.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks again, John. And thanks to all of you for coming out tonight to Beef O'Brady's in Newburgh. Thanks to Mike Duco and Dave Leger back there for being our guests tonight on the show. We appreciate all the support. This is probably our best crowd of the year, and I think that's because the word maybe got out a little early, Brian, on your plans. But
no, they like you better.
No. Well, Well, Brian, you're a big reason I'm here, so I'll say that. You and Jim and Ron are a big reason that I'm even in Evansville, because I think I interviewed with you and Jim day one.
Hey, we got it right this year.
So I want to thank you for that. And so I want to thank you for that. And it was an awesome few months working with you.
Well, like I said, I will still be around. I want to make that very clear because I love this team. I love this organization. I think this is a playoff team, and we're going to go far in the playoffs this year. So I'll be at a lot of playoff games too. So
well, maybe after your first day at Napa, you can come make a cameo in IceMen Live with me and Travis.
Yeah, I could.
You'll probably be a little tired, I would bet, though, after day one.
Yeah, my brain might be a little fried learning about auto parts and all the new stuff I have to sell. So.
Well, again, thanks to everyone for coming out tonight. We always appreciate it. Thanks to those who listened online as well on EvansvilleIcemen.com. Busy week this week. We'll see you at the Ford Center, hopefully New Year's Eve, and then Saturday and Sunday against Missouri and Wichita. But until then, have a great week, and we'll talk very soon.
Let's go duck hunting.